Have you ever felt that the more you try to please everyone, the more invisible you become in their eyes? We are taught that kindness is a virtue, but why does your endless dedication often receive only indifference or even disrespect when you are exhausted? Maybe the mistake is not that you give too much, but in the way you value yourself. It is time to stop and ask yourself, are you a kind person or just a free service in the eyes of others? Follow this story to understand why setting boundaries is not selfish, but the only way to protect your kindness from cruel exploitation. Do not miss the lesson that can completely change the way the world treats you. In the town of Willow Creek, where golden wheat fields stretch to the horizon and the church bell rings, every morning there was a man that everyone knew. His name was Thomas. With rough hands that smelled of pine wood and a gentle smile always on his face, he was known as the spirit of kindness in the town. When the first sunlight had not yet warmed the dew on the fences, people could already see the tall figure of Thomas working quietly in his small wood workshop. But strangely, the sound of his saw and hammer was rarely for jobs that brought him profit. For 10 years, Thomas lived by one rule: helping others is helping myself. He believed kindness was the thread that connected the community, and if he gave enough, he would receive respect and a worthy place in people's hearts. Because of that, Thomas never knew how to say the word no. If Mrs. Miller complained that her chicken coop was leaking, Thomas would stop his lunch and go to fix it immediately. If the Smith family needed someone to carry dozens of heavy wheat bags into the high storage, Thomas would be the first to roll up his sleeves, sweating but still encouraging everyone. Even Jack the Hunter, a man famous for his rough temper, only needed to whistle once, and Thomas would stay up all night to fix the porch roof before the storm came. People in the town praised him with the most beautiful words. Thomas is the kindest man I have ever met. Willow Creek is lucky to have him. These compliments were like a kind of emotional medicine that made Thomas feel important and valuable. He worked with all his strength, sometimes even forgetting to take care of himself or repair the broken roof of his own house. But there was a quiet truth that Thomas did not notice. His enthusiasm had started to become a free service in the eyes of his neighbors. They called his name not because of friendship, but because they knew that the name Thomas always meant unconditional help. He was like a hard-working shadow, quietly serving everyone's needs while his own shadow slowly faded under the sunlight of people's exploitation. He kept building houses of happiness for others, forgetting that the foundation of his own value was slowly becoming unstable. As time passed, Thomas's kindness slowly became an unnamed duty in the minds of the people in Willow Creek. His enthusiasm, which was once a gift, was now treated as something normal. People no longer asked, "Can Thomas help?" but instead said, "Thomas, why haven't you come yet?" The respect he always hoped for had quietly turned into people fully taking advantage of him. The painful turning point happened on a gray autumn afternoon when the first cold winds of the season started blowing through the doors. Thomas woke up with a heavy body. He had a high fever, his head was spinning, and his joints hurt as if thousands of needles were stabbing them. He wanted to rest, but then he heard loud knocking at the door. It was Jack the Hunter. Jack asked Thomas to climb up to the high roof and close a hole before the heavy rain came. Even though his breathing was weak, Thomas forced himself to stand up and carry his heavy toolbox because he did not want to disappoint anyone. On the slippery roof, while light rain started to fall, Thomas's shaking hands no longer followed the command of his brain. Suddenly, he felt dizzy and slipped. The fall from 3 meters made Thomas lie still in the mud. His right arm, the only tool he had to earn money, was broken and in terrible pain. But the pain from people's reactions was even worse than the pain in his body. Jack ran out of the house, but instead of asking about Thomas's injury, he looked at the unfinished roof and shouted angrily, "Damn it, Thomas. What kind of work is this? The paint is all over my wooden floor. And what about that hole? Are you going to let my house fill with water?" Some neighbors walked by and stopped for a moment. But when they saw that Thomas had fallen and could not help them for a few weeks, they only clicked their tongues and said, "What a trouble. I was just about to ask him to fix my table." No hand reached out to help him stand up. No one asked if he needed a doctor. That night, Thomas lay alone in his quiet house. The sound of rain falling on the broken roof of his own house felt like bitter mockery. He realized a painful truth. When he was the helper, everyone was his friend. But when he became the person who needed help, he was only a stranger. His presence in the community was as thin as smoke. It only existed as long as he could bring benefits to them. For the first time in his life, the kind carpenter felt a deep emptiness. He asked himself where he had been wrong during the past 10 years. During the days of healing and loneliness, Thomas decided to visit Elias, a man who lived quietly on the windy hill in the north of Willow Creek. Elias was a retired mechanical craftsman, known for his serious face and sharp eyes that seemed to see into people's hearts. Under the wooden porch that smelled of ginger tea, Thomas shared his disappointment, his broken arm, and the indifference of the neighbors he had helped with all his heart. With a trembling voice, he asked, "Where did I go wrong? I spent my whole life being kind. But when I fell down, why did they treat me like something useless that was thrown away?" Elias stayed silent for a long moment. He took a sip of hot tea and slowly pointed to an old well in the yard. "Thomas, look at that well. If you take water for the whole village every day but never wait for the water to fill again, the well will become dry. And when it becomes dry, people will not feel sorry for the well. They will blame it because it no longer has water for them." He stepped closer and put his old hand on Thomas's still shaking shoulder. "You are not a good person. You are only a person who is always available. When you help without boundaries, you take away their chance to grow and learn how to appreciate. Kindness without limits is weakness that slowly destroys yourself. A gift that is free for too long will slowly become a debt that you must keep paying until the end of your life." Thomas stood still in shock. Elias's words felt like cold water poured onto the innocence he had carried for many years. He realized that he had taught the villagers how to disrespect him by always saying yes to every unreasonable request. Respect does not come from obedience. It comes from self-respect and from setting clear boundaries that no one is allowed to cross. After the conversation with Elias, Thomas returned to Willow Creek with a completely different mindset. His arm was still in bandages, but the gentle and weak look in his eyes was now replaced by a calm and strong determination. He spent a week repairing his own workshop, the place he had ignored for a long time, while helping others. Thomas placed a small wooden sign in front of the gate: Thomas Wood Workshop, working hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Any requests after hours or personal help must be scheduled in advance. Thomas's quiet change did not last long. The next morning, Mrs. Miller appeared again with her usual worried face and asked him to repair the fence that had just been blown away by strong wind. She spoke in her usual commanding voice, "Thomas, come quickly and fix my fence. The chickens will run away." Thomas took a deep breath and felt the calm beat of his heart. He looked straight into Mrs. Miller's eyes and slowly said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Miller. Right now I am busy finishing an order for a customer. I can come next Monday morning, and the repair fee will be $10. Mrs. Miller was shocked. Her mouth opened wide because she could not believe what she heard. "A repair fee? $10, Thomas? Are you crazy? We are neighbors." Thomas only smiled gently. "Yes, we are neighbors. And because we are neighbors, I hope you will respect my time and my work." Soon a wave of reactions spread across Willow Creek. Whispers and gossip could be heard everywhere. Jack the hunter mocked him and called him greedy, and the Smith family said Thomas had become selfish after his fall. They even tried to isolate him walking past his workshop without looking at him. Thomas felt a small pain in his heart, but strangely he also felt lighter than ever before. He no longer needed to stay awake all night doing unpaid work, and he no longer needed to push himself just to please people who never cared about his health. Then something natural began to happen. The people who only wanted to use him slowly disappeared when they realized they could no longer depend on him for free help. At the same time, truly kind people started to appear. Henry, a quiet but honest farmer, came to Thomas's workshop. He placed money on the table and said, "I need a new table and chair set, and I want to pay the true value for your skilled hands. Do not work for free anymore, Thomas. Your talent deserves respect." Thomas smiled. For the first time in many years, he felt real respect. Respect that was not built on obedience, but on the true value of an honest carpenter. A few months passed, and the atmosphere in Willow Creek slowly changed in a surprising way. Thomas was no longer the errand runner for the whole village, but his wood workshop had never been so busy before. His injured arm had completely healed. The old scars were still there as a reminder of the price of weakness, but Thomas's eyes now showed the calm confidence of a man who controlled his own life. The biggest surprise was not that Thomas earned more money, but the way people treated him. Those who used to take advantage of him, like Jack and Mrs. Miller, slowly became quiet or learned to say please and thank you together with fair payment for Thomas's work. They realized that without free help, they had to stand on their own feet or respect the value of other people. One beautiful sunset afternoon, Thomas sat on the porch of his workshop and enjoyed a hot cup of coffee with the farmer Henry. Henry looked at the fine furniture Thomas had just finished and nodded. "You know, Thomas, since you started saying no, I respect you more than ever. Because now when you say yes to help someone, people know that you truly want to help, not because you are forced." The story of the carpenter Thomas ends with a deep lesson for all of us. Kindness is like a river. If it has no banks or boundaries, it will spread like a flood and destroy itself. Do not be afraid of being disliked when you protect your boundaries. People who truly care about you will stay, and those who only love the convenience of you will leave. Remember, this respect is never given to those who kneel. It is only given to those who stand tall and value themselves. Thank you for spending your valuable time listening to the story of Thomas. I hope the lesson about kind boundaries will give you more courage to respect yourself and protect your energy from unfair exploitation. If this video brings value to you, do not forget to press like and subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the next awakening stories. Please leave a comment to share your opinion. Have you ever had to learn how to say no? The change starts with you today.